Good morning. Let's start with a pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you for attending the July 12th Ways and Meetings meeting.
January?
Or July? Look outside.
I told you climate change was going to change everything.
All right, we have the agenda. What are your wishes?
Or
Latzenheiser, Pearl Wright. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Now, in front of you are minutes from the closed session on the 15th of December,
regular minutes.
and then we have the regular minutes.
I would move both the regular minutes and the closed session. Support.
Moved by Latzenheiser, supported by DeRosa. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Now is the opportunity, the first of two, for limited public comment. There will be another opportunity at the end of the meeting. I'm not going to say it out loud, but we're going to get right through to it. All right, the largest part of our packet today was the delinquent tax borrowing resolution, which is pretty much, we do every year.
Move it.
Moved by Brailer, supported by DeRosa. Any questions about that? That is a really excessively long, I imagine that's all legalese on there.
I'm sorry.
It's,
We would have to do that each year, and it is.
yep. Okay, any questions about it? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. And then next comes another one of our very favorite issues. The remonumentation grant. Mr. Lester is not with us today.
Support.
Pretty cool stuff.
Been here like 8 years. He was here for like my first term. We haven't seen him since.
He used to come all the time, but it has.
He used-
Happy to come in. He's happy to come in. Next month?
Next year.
I'm questioning Tim. I looked at it and it looks like a lot of the work is getting done. Remonumentation. We're almost to the end. How close are we? Go ahead, just tell us.
Tim?
You're coming up next anyway, so we might as well stand up here.
I think we've been doing this the entire time I've been on this board, and you'll be doing it for a long time after I'm off this board.
Different tools though, then.
They used chains. There were chains that were,
My understanding is the entire county has been done at this point, but they're GPSing all the corners now, which will help our IT department and the GIS that we use tremendously. So all the controversial situations that came up when we initially started the program should be solved at this point, which is a good thing for my office and for me. So it's good that they're coming along nicely. Register of Deeds has been slowing down a little bit, so the grants are gonna be a little bit less this next year, just because the way the real estate market's going as far as the current trends. I have not seen the report, that was done for this last year yet, because I don't think it's been finished.
well, and there was one of the things here is they're getting together and doing some final resolution, right? Is that part of one of the things we're doing?
Yeah, as far as doing the resolutions for all the remonumentation surveyors that will be using this next year.
Yep. Did we vote on it? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Okay, Tim's come back to us with a pretty cool document. The median home price sales. I think Commissioner Brailer had some questions about it last month, and Tim thought it was a good project, so tell us.
Yeah, we've been sharing this with the public. We did it about 2 years ago. Now that we're actually using BSNA software now to do pretty much all our equalization studies, it makes it easier to work with GIS to develop this information. And it's pretty useful for the public, really, because we get that question, quite often. I don't know if you get a chance to see the map that we did. The dots represent where the sales were located within that 2-year time frame. And looking at the data, it does look like what we've been talking about over the last 2 years. The average median sale price has gone up about 20%, so about 10% a year. So it has been growing pretty fast. Looking at the data, when I was looking at the map myself, the highest median sale price right now is in Dimondale. Second highest was in Grand Ledge, and then Waverly was third. And then the west side of the county, which is not surprising, that's where the rural part of the county is. More farm areas, those are trending up too, but those are on the low end. So that would be like Bellevue, Vermontville, and Sunfield areas on the west side of the county.
And I assume that the data reflects some changes, like it pulls out ag land isn't considered the sale price for a house, even though a house would.
Yeah, we only looked at the 401 class, which is residential improved. And median is a more accurate number typically versus when you're looking at average, because averages tend to skew the number if you get a real high sale price. And then the median sale price countywide, we calculated that. It came out to $192,000 countywide. So that was interesting.
Median is 192.
Yep, for the entire county. So that's data that could be used. I know you guys are considering some things for the budget, so that's some that certainly can be looked at in the future.
Thank you for putting that together, and I thank GIS too. Behind you are the IT guys that stand there and really have fun probably parsing this stuff out. And
Yeah, they actually enjoy doing stuff like this when we give them special projects. That's a good thing.
who was the person that actually put this together
John Merrick is the one that puts this
John
together.
did?
Yeah, we work
Okay.
with John pretty close.
Okay. Any questions about the median price for the countywide?
This together, I know I made some comments the other day, and I appreciate the information, so thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions for Mr. Vandermark?
I have one.
Yes, Jeannie.
Tim, with the lower income housing stock, do you think with the new way the banks are now being more careful as to requiring higher down payments and better credit scores and all those things, that it's going to reduce any of those medium-priced homes?
It certainly is an impact. We can see it as the banks are definitely more strict on, making pretty substantial down payments in most instances. So they are being careful because they don't want to get back to what happened during the recession. So I don't see it going down. I've been looking at the trends, but I do see it kind of flattening out a little bit. In fact, that was kind of interesting. I was just reading Southeast Michigan is now the fastest growing real estate market in the country right now. So I think Michigan prices are still pretty reasonable versus the rest of the country. So I think that's a very positive thing. And so I think we're still going to trend up. It's just going to slow down as far as the amount of the increase.
Okay. I know that is one of the bulletproofs out of the, that's being used in the Grow Michigan program that the governor is trying to initiate to bring back some of our population, is our affordable housing prices.
They do have some special programs out there too for people that are low income, where you can put low down with it's basically subsidized by the government. But that's, it has to be, they do have certain requirements as far as what houses qualify for that. They usually have to be in pretty good condition to qualify for that kind of financing.
But even 10% down on 192,000 is, for some people, is a lot of money, to be able to obtain one of those smaller type homes.
Yeah, and for a first-time home buyer, it's definitely more difficult.
Okay, thank you, Tim.
You're welcome.
Tim? Thank you. All right. We're going to go to the Human Resources Report. Ben?
Hello, everybody. So keeping with the theme, I'll try to be brief. You'll see the positions update is the first thing on the agenda here. So I made one modification. I went ahead and highlighted the positions that were filled between last time we met and this time so that it stands out more clearly. And then also we added under the sheriff's office where you can see what deputies are currently in field training the program, so are not currently able to patrol on their own. So it just visually gives you a quick snapshot as you're looking at it. So general overview, we filled 6 positions this month. There are 12 openings listed online. 6 of those are ongoing requisitions between the sheriff's office and the youth facility. There are 3 that we are recommending that are currently budgeted positions but are open due to resignation, so we're recommending those be authorized for us to hire in, and they're down at the bottom. Corrections department or openings, we've taken that requisition down because they are fully staffed at their budget level. Jail, we're still looking for 2 EMT vacancies and working through candidates and individuals that have applied for those roles, trying to find full-time qualified candidates. Road patrol, there's currently 9 vacancies. Talk through the tracking feature so that we can see the 9 vacancies take into account the 6 that are in FTO. So keeping in mind from meeting demand and being able to have people on the road that are able to drive on their own to provide better coverage. The department is really functioning like they're 15 spots down while these folks are finishing up their field training. I would say a couple of shout outs. The sheriff's office has done a great job bringing 2 deputies back who had previously retired, similar to how we were able to bring Shipman back to be a lieutenant. So in a lot of ways, having conversations with previous deputies, but we still have the difficulty with recruitment in those efforts that we're trying to address, which will lead into a discussion. You'd all authorized us to do early bargaining last month, so a brief update on that. We've had 2 meetings with the command supervisor group within the sheriff's office and 1 with the non-supervisor group, and while we don't have a formal update, I can just say we've had some really promising discussions and it's been going very well. I think both sides have been just meeting in good faith, and so at a later meeting when we have more to report, we'll probably do a closed session. But for the meantime, I wanted to let you know we have gotten to work on that to try to address the wages and salaries and compensation elements that we think can help with recruitment with our patrol unit.
Could I add-
Questions?
That's an example of, to the benefit of our controller, and some of our new executive team, there seems to be a lot more interaction with the employees on a lot of these general kind of issues. People are talking about things. We're trying to be a lot more transparent here on the executive end. I would add that there were recent meetings. We were talking about the Medicare Plus program for some of our retirees. And rather than just imposing a new criteria or a new program, there have been a lot of back and forth and a lot of interactions, and I think it really results in a much better buy-in on the employee side of the equation. And I think they feel like they're being listened to a lot. I'm hearing that they feel like they're being listened to a lot more, and that there's a lot more give and take that never had been here before. So I want to compliment the controller on that direction and and the executive staff for what they've been doing. So,
Thank you. Yeah. And on the Medicare piece, we'll probably have something on the agenda for next month. But to your point, we did small focus groups with some retirees that were currently on the benefit and some employees that aren't on the benefit and are currently working, just to get their perspectives on if we were to change how we finance the plan, which is just buying a Medicare Advantage plan, which is tailored to over 65 population versus having our retiree population on our actual commercial plan that all the active employees are on. And those focus groups were really helpful. And then we did the town hall on the 4th, and you're right. Part of those discussions, a lot of people, I think, had glimpses of times past, and I think it was a very healing exercise for everybody being able to come together and just talk about it in advance and being included. So thank you for the shout out. I know that that's part of Connie's vision, and it's been great to try to execute that.
Yeah, it was a really good session. There is a YouTube video of it if anyone's interested.
Yeah,
I can send it out.
yep. Resource recovery updates. So we're preparing to make an offer to the recycling center operator position. So hopefully we'll have that filled by next week. And then we did a second round of administrative interviews with the environmental sustainability director position. And we have scheduled a second elected official panel. The first group, we had candidates, one pulled out, and then one turned us down at the last minute. And that's just kind of what happens when you're doing these types of talent acquisitions. But we've got somebody that we think might be a good fit, so we're looking forward to those interviews taking place next Friday. So hopefully we'll have good news so we can bring somebody on board that can help with our materials management plan, which we've been given the go from Eagle, that we've got, I think, 180 days to give a letter of intent. So we want to bring them on board as quickly as possible, but make sure it's the right person.
And the next thing is going to, I want to go to the Controller Sobey to talk about the next issue. Not an issue, but
So when,
Before we do that, I'll move the
positions, thank you.
positions. Support.
moved by Railer, supported by Augustine, the positions. Questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
So when I took over as controller, we restructured the office. The board agreed to restructure it to have a human resources director and a finance director, looking in terms of what the climate is with HR and finance, and it has worked very well. But what I found is not having a deputy, as I was previously, has kind of limited some of the ability for me to either pass on work or for someone to step up as the deputy. So Ben has been doing that role now for quite some time, since the beginning. First day when he started, I'll let you know, he came in and said, hey, you said you're working on a resolution, give it to me, I'll work on it. So he's really been a strong fit for that. I'd recommend that he take that role and serve the county and the board with the needs.
I'll pass it on to the chairman, who has some input on this and probably wants to talk to some of the staff. Go ahead.
Yeah, I do. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Since I closely work with Controller Sobey and Ben, I've been able to, see what's been going on in the office and stuff. And I think Connie had some good ideas in the beginning and the way the structure was going to work. But obviously, it was a new change, and as you kind of move through the process, you kind of have to tweak it. And I think this is one of those tweaks that need to be done. When Ben came on, we were pretty fortunate to get him the way we did from East Lansing, and stuff that was going on up there, and we were able to get him and we actually found a pretty valuable person. And so, like Connie said, from day one, he was taking on work that was really not his classification, but yet was willing to do it. So we've been doing a very good job at it. So we've basically been getting a 2-for-1 deal here at the county. And just watching him do what he does, and he does it very well. He will probably, and I will say this, fill Connie's role at some point. And I think we need to reward him for that and let him know that we're looking for that succession in the future. And so I would support this move. I think it's good for the county and it's good for us as commissioners and the rest of the departments, I believe. Because as you know, when Connie came in, it was a very smooth transition because she's been here for so long. And having someone like that being able to step into that role again, and having the structure that Connie has put into place and I believe is working very well, I think is beneficial for the future of the county. I also did get some correspondence from Prosecutor Lloyd he wanted me to pass on to the board that he's in agreement with this and thinks it's a good idea. He's been very helpful with his department, Ben has. And he's also thinks that it's a good idea for the county in its succession when Connie leaves, so. But yeah, I'd also like to hear from, I know there's some department heads and people here that I think would like to speak on that too, but.
Commissioner Brailer?
The sheriff, I'd be happy to hear from the sheriff first.
Since I don't have a vote, though, I would like to make a few comments regarding Ben in this new position. I think it's worthwhile to do it. I think, from what I can known Ben now, since he's been here, I'm impressed. And I would move for the commissioners to take action on this and move him forward to this position that Connie's offering. It's been so a breath of fresh air since Connie's been in. What a great position to work with Connie and her staff. It's awesome. And we've all actually made progress, and I appreciate that. So thank you, Connie. Thank you, Ben.
Thank you, Sheriff.
We've opened it up. If any other department heads would like to make a comment, they're all here. This is kind of unusual. Usually we wouldn't go through something like this, but I think I know what the outcome will be, so go ahead.
I think it's an excellent idea as well. They have so much going on in the controller's office, so many great things going on, and it's just impossible to think that Connie could do it all alone, as hard as she tries. She's been doing great work, but I love seeing the team in place now, and I've always thought that she should be cloned, and this would be the closest thing to it.
Scary thought.
Ben has also helped me with so many things that you wouldn't think were within the job scope, but so many great problems and issues, so thank you both.
Good morning. Yeah, I would just echo what both Sheriff Reich and Clerk Bosworth said. Ben has stepped in, goes over and above all the time, both human resources and assisting with the role that's as not part of his duties. Just yesterday, I went into Connie's office, had a question. She was dealing with some of the events that happened yesterday. Ben stepped out, we handled it, and we were all set. So it's things like that that are invaluable. So appreciate it, and I support the resolution.
Good morning. I echo what everyone else says. It's not easy to be, open, having all the department head meetings, which we have never had in the past. So we meet monthly and talk about what's going on, and that takes effort and work, and they all work together to make it get done and communicate to everyone. They do a phenomenal job, and I also think it's super important to define that number 2 spot. So even as a department head, if Connie's unavailable, who do I go to type thing. My deputy director is a huge asset to me, and I want to make sure he has all the information that I have, so that if something, I always say, if I die, it's right here. I don't want Connie to die, but just saying, it is good to define number 2 and, have that plan in place, so.
Today, we say, if I win the lottery, not.
I say if I die.
Move on, I want someone else to.
Yeah, we're a little,
I'd probably still stay if I won the lottery, just to see things through. I'm not very smart. I don't know.
I'd like to also echo what everybody else has been saying. I think this is a smart move. I think this is a necessary move. And just in succession planning, in the event then, if Connie chooses to retire or leave someday, I think it's important to have the number 2 defined. Just speaking to Ben personally, he's been a fantastic asset to the organization, to me personally. He's gone up and above and beyond everything that I've asked out of my department. These two have been amazing to work with over the past year, and the transparency that's coming out of the department now is a breath of fresh air, honestly. So just quickly, I support this fully.
Okay.
Thank you.
I guess you're okay, Ben. I mean, you're an okay worker.
Well, none of those people have votes. So.
No, I meant he's okay. He's an okay person. Okay worker. Oh, Commissioner Brailer had a.
Commissioner Brailer?
Well, I appreciate all the comments, and I appreciate the efforts that Ben has made, and this isn't, I guess my concern with this is, for too long, I think the county didn't take HR issues as seriously as they needed to. I know that a few times that Ben and I have had a chance to talk, or Connie has brought us up to speed in various meetings, the HR issues have consumed a great deal of his time. So I don't have any problem with a deputy controller position, but I'm wondering if we're not going to do a 2-for-1 here and stretch, in this case, Ben. I don't have any problem with Ben being the deputy controller. But I'm wondering if, rather than combining these two positions, we need to look at 2 separate positions, because I'm not terribly confident that we won't have this type of meeting in several months down the road in which they have decided that there's just too much, there's an awful lot going on right now in this county, and there's going to be a lot more. This is a very impactful year in a number of different levels. And so if Connie's stretched thin and needs a deputy, we're going to stretch him thin immediately by asking him to hold 2 very important positions. And so I'm wondering if we should not consider separating these 2 positions. And I, as I say, I have no problem appointing him deputy controller, but I also don't want HR to fall behind again, because that's one of the reasons why we had, and may still have, some of the problems with morale of our staff that has occurred over these years.
I would like to ask Mr. Dawson to respond to that, if you would.
I don't know if he's the one who should respond to it, but he's the one who's about to get this position. I mean, I doubt very seriously that he's going to tell us he can't do both jobs.
I want to hear it.
I mean, honestly, I don't know, similar to the discussions we had yesterday. I think realistically, because we've had these discussions internally too, and Joe is right. And also, if we were talking from a, I don't want to say dream, but just from a functional capacity for the office, I look around and I'm like, how did we get things done before I started here? Because I came on in March, and in some ways, we didn't, or we did enough to get by, and it in some ways set up what we're having to deal with this coming year. So Joe's point is well taken, and it is spot on. I think like a full build of what the controller's office probably needs is probably another financial, like another accountant or a budget specialist and a human resources person for the amount of employees that we have. So asking something like that at this moment, wasn't in our plan at all, but realistically, just letting you all know that the demand on the office causing strain, burnout, and those are real things that we're very conscious of. Whether it was in 6 months or right away, I would absolutely support the idea of there being, if I stepped up as deputy, I could still do maybe the director, but perhaps doing like an HR administrator, somebody who could assist with some of the more day-to-day, the internal investigations, vetting through policies, being able to help departments with performance improvement plans, those components which I've been able to do. But while I've been kind of serving in both roles, it's been a stretch. So I appreciate the acknowledgement, and we didn't talk about this before the meeting, so your vision for that dichotomy is appreciated.
Okay, I suspect that will be a issue and a discussion in future meetings. Commissioner Augustine.
I would move the recommendations to amend the positions allocation list and to adjust the general fund budget as recommended by staff.
So Commissioner August, in a second.
And then I would like to speak to it after that. I figured we should get the motion on the floor before we continue to speak to it.
Commissioner Augustine's motion includes the budget amendment, which is further down in the packet, so. It's not in the packet, but we have to do the first thing to do the second thing.
So a couple of things I want to speak to. First, I just want to speak to Ben's current role and what Ben has brought to the table and kind of echo some of the comments that were said earlier, specifically by the chairman. You know, Ben, I joke with Ben when we meet in our financial stability work group. Why is the HR guy presenting a spreadsheet? This is weird. And it's because Ben has essentially been taking on this role as deputy controller since he's been here. So this, in my mind, I agree with what Commissioner Brailer has said. I think down the road, I think we're going to need to look at this. I think just like every other department in the county, unfortunately, because of our financial position, we don't have the ability to add a bunch of positions right now. Hopefully, in the future, that will change, and we will be able to have the correct size departments with the correct amount of staff and the right positions. I think that's very critical, and I do agree that, the improvement in the human resources area is important, that is sustainable, and that we continue that. I have no doubt that Ben and Connie and her staff will continue the forward momentum in that area. I also have no doubt that we will be having a similar discussion within the next year about what we're going to do. Speaking to the idea of making sure that we have a plan, a succession plan, I think is extremely important as well. Back when we promoted Connie to the controller position, we interviewed her, and the discussion was, as much as we'd like to think Connie will be here forever, Connie is, not going to be here forever. So at some point in time, we need to think of a replacement. And while this board has no authority to pick the replacement at this point in time, we do have the authority, and I think the duty, to set up a succession plan just like any organization would. Now, when it comes time for Controller Sobey to move on to the retirement land, then that board will decide who the replacement is. But I think it would be neglectful of us to not have a succession plan in place, just like any other organization. So I think this is if you can't tell already, I think this is the right move. I think there will be more discussions to be had. But as everyone else has said in here so far, I think Ben has done a tremendous job. I think Connie's entire office has done a tremendous job, and a lot of others in this county have spent a lot of time and have been stretched thin in every office, in every department throughout the county, and that's something that we're hoping to address here in the near future, and is critical to continuing offering the services that we have to not only our residents, but also the staff that is so important to continue to hold on to here at the county. So I am much in support of this and appreciate everything that the Controller's Office has brought for the county. Thank you.
Commissioner Prowright.
I just want to say that I had the opportunity to attend a conference with Ben, and so I was with him for like 3 days. On the way home, I had already made up my mind how professional Ben was, and I gave him the speech on what a good place it was to stay working at Eaton County. So I had always had in mind, knowing that Controller Sobey was on a 3-year contract, my opinion of who I would like to put into place for a succession plan.
You out the door.
I'm out.
Commissioner DeRosa?
I agree with what's being presented here. My only concern is that when we had a clear delineation between HR and controllers, there was some ability for back and forth, and there was, if you will, employee refuge in one office or the other. And by combining the two, that may be blurred, and there may be some discomfort for the employees to approach the HR director, knowing that he's part of the controller's office again. So I would just be cautious in that. I still think we need a separate and independent HR department and HR department head, so that when there are matters that need to be discussed between the two departments, there is two distinctions, not a blurred, so that Ben's not in a conversation all by himself about how to solve a problem. So that's my only concern.
Good point. Anyone else? The vote does include both parts, understanding the first part has to be a yes for the second part to be, which is the budget amendment to be done, but all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Connie, Melissa isn't here today. Connie, would you present the finance report, please?
The only thing we are presenting today is the health insurance report. If there aren't any questions, it's typical right now. Nothing to report.
The enrollment period has been closed out. Everyone is set, and everybody's got their new, the new
New
payments and
insurance.
insurance, and, okay,
Mhm, yes.
good. Get that behind us.
Questions?
Public improvement. Chad, your turn.
Good morning again. I'll go through these pretty quickly. Youth Facility Expansion Project, as you know, is underway. We're moving through that. Everything's plugging along with trades work, masonry, underground work, and then they are also running electrical from the existing building through the facility to get into the new expanded wing.
I went and looked at it the other day. I
Did
said
you?
I would, and
All right.
it's a mud pit.
Yeah, well, it's been muddy, obviously, with the weather. Hopefully, it freezes up next week and come out next week. It won't be so muddy. Crane's coming here in the next couple weeks. You'll see the crane go up, and then the first round of the prefabricated walls, February 5th, and then we will be wrapped up with walls by 15th of March. So you'll really start seeing it take shape here in the next over the next couple months. Once the building's enclosed, and then it's we're working from the inside out, and you'll really start to see things go up the next couple months. The waterproofing at the sheriff's office, we completed last month, and it came in under budget, so that was a good thing. We still will do some landscaping here next spring when everything kind of settles and thaws. We got a couple of trees we took out that we'll put back and that sort of thing. So that went really well, and hopefully eliminates the problem that we were having for years on that wall down in the sheriff's lower part of the sheriff's office. The gutters and downspouts for the solar panels, the covered parking out here at the courthouse and the sheriff's deputy parking made it through plan review. It's been designed, approved, and it's now into fabrication. So once I'm expecting here, 4 to 6 weeks, we'll be ready to get that stuff installed. So that's coming. It's moved a little slower than I would liked since last winter. I've been dealing with this, but it's coming, and we're making progress on it. So construction codes and equalization moves. So they're flip-flopping space down the hall here. We are just about completed with the first phase, which was to renovate the existing construction codes area. They're putting flooring in this morning, and then next week we'll be looking at staff moves. So that'll get Tim and his staff moved over, and then we can start the existing equalization space.
I would say with those walls removed and what you've done in there, if you walk in and look, it's a larger space than what you would have thought before. It was sort of partitioned off before, and it just felt like it was not that large of an area, but now that it's opened up, I think it really reveals that there's space in there.
And to your point, I think even Tim and his staff, when they originally walked in there, they're like, oh my gosh, this is small and we're not gonna, so wait till we get it opened up. And I think even it was eye-opening for them to see how much space there was there that would fit his department perfectly. Other than that, the last thing I have, we're looking at updates on some vending machines. You'll see, I'm hoping next week, we're gonna get some better options for vending in different locations here in the building to make it more user-friendly, so. Any questions?
Thank
All
you.
right, thank you.
Okay, we have a budget amendment.
So this budget amendment was recommended by Public Safety. It is a chest compression system for the jail that was researched and presented by Under Sheriff Cook.
Is it that automatic one?
Lucas machine, yes.
Yeah. That's a great system.
If you have any questions, Under Sheriff is here. This will come from the commissary fund, so it's not a general fund expenditure. And since it's for use for the inmates, it's an allowable expense under commissary.
I support.
Moved by Lotzenheiser, supported by Rogers. Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Miscellaneous,
Don't have any miscellaneous?
bills and claims. Lotzenheiser, DeRosa. I would like to make a comment before limited public comment, and that is,
Want us to vote on the bills?
Yeah, vote on
we
it.
vote on it? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Bills are, moved on to the full board next Wednesday. The bills are not approved till then. So we're going into a long weekend here, and I really appreciate it, thinking about what Dr. King did for our country and what we've got, the, nonviolent change, making very positive changes in our society and in our lives in general. So the employees are getting the time off, but I want us to remember the employees that don't have the time off as we go into a big storm here. We're looking at Kelly's group at 911 and the people that are working at the youth facilities. We've got the corrections officers that still have to be here. And
Youth facility,
youth facility, they're gonna have to be here.
maintenance and
And
grounds.
maintenance and grounds. And then we've got the deputies on the road, who always, when this kind of a situation, a snow incident happens, all the dumb people in the county turn out and they get stuck. It's a very stressful and difficult time for the.
In particular district, you
I was.
I gotta get to Flint tonight.
You're one of those, huh? They're gonna find you in the ditch. So I want us to be thinking about them, and I want to thank them and know that they're recognized, all those that have to work. Because, it is a long weekend, and a lot of employees have taken the day off, and they deserve it, and there's an extra day at the end of the weekend. But remember, there are people that have to work here, and we appreciate all of them and what they do, because they're the people that the county residents recognize. When they're at home for a long weekend, stuff is still getting done, and that's because of you all, so we thank you on that. Now it's time for public comment, second time. Given that, we're going to adjourn.